And we thank the sun. I really needed to invite the sun today, and it showed up for us. So we'll see what today brings. I always say I can get an event so far, but at the end, I need help from every being possible. So today, we will be celebrating putting the rocks into our labyrinth. I'm just going to say a few words about labyrinths, and then Bernadette's going to open us up with an Irish poem. And then I think that the people who painted their rocks, we can have a few people going at a time. I'll call people. If you want to say something about your rock, please do. If you have a few rocks, can go in the basket to carry into the labyrinth. So to walk into the labyrinth, let me start with that. We're really blessed to have a labyrinth in our community. And for those who don't know, we're listed on a worldwide registry of labyrinths. So it's kind of cool to go there. I think you just put in Round Lake. And we do have Ken Raleigh to thank for placing the labyrinth. It was his idea to create a labyrinth here in the village, and he was instrumental in the plan and the layout and for getting us on the worldwide registry. So to have a labyrinth, and there's a long history of labyrinths, dating back about 2,000 years, and then into Greece, and it's in the mythology. A lot of Greek mythology, and then it comes into Europe, and now there's labyrinths all over the globe. But to have one in our own village, particularly in these times, is really special because it's a place for reflection. It's a place for quiet, and in this world that has gotten, more intense and with profound issues than we might have even imagined, to have this here is a gift. The placement here overlooking the lake, our namesake, is also really special. So just a few quick words on it. Is there anyone here who didn't know we had a labyrinth here? As people who are here might know that. And at some point too, I'm hoping we might get a sign for our labyrinth. So that could be in the works. But the gentle thoughts. What?
Hint village.
Hint village. Hint artists in the village. How to paint things really well. Labyrinth walk has like 3 steps. The walking in is the release. Letting go of whatever it is you may need to be letting go of, whether that's stress or expectation or burdens. In the middle, to come to the middle, is the time for reflection and receiving what might be able to be received, and the walking out is the release, is the return, coming back out after that experience. So for today, after our opening, we'll call the rock painters. I invite all of you to say a few words, if you wish, what inspired your rock. We do have maybe some path walkers who can guide us. Also, if you have a few rocks, you could carry them all in one. And on the way back out, find a place to place your rock. You can really much choose it yourself, and we'll work with it. Some of you know where you took your rocks from, so I'll invite those people first, because they might know where they took their rocks from. So again, thank you for being here. I'll ask for just a moment of us just being together and honoring the space, and thanking our Mayor Gary, who makes much happen here and always gives me the green light to do whatever I'm making up here. But the labyrinth is all of the village. I said the labyrinth has no owner. I tend to it every once in a while, but it's its own being. So, good. Bernadette.
Thank you. When I walk the labyrinth, I think about this poem a lot, and I think you'll agree that it embodies the whole idea of the the tranquility and peace that we're looking for when we do enter the labyrinth. It's written by William Butler Yeats, an Irish poet, and he wrote the poem when he was living in London. He was very homesick, and he wrote the poem about his home and about the beautiful lake that he used to walk around as a child, and thinking about all of those beautiful thoughts that that lake evoked. So, The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping now, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There's midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always, night and day, I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray, I hear it in the deep heart's core.
And Bernadette is holding, and as we know, Ireland is a place of many sacred sites, but look at the, Amy Brader-Leach is not here with us this morning, but this is the Celtic knot. And I also, before I go on, thanking Dawn Davis Marks, who was my, sort of helped inspire the event too. And she's new to the village and lives over there, but she's done a lot of painting, and her rocks are already inserted in the path, and you'll see them as you start to come in. So I may ask Deb, where's Deb Knight? Deb, would you mind starting? Also, we have a blanket if people need to sit. I have a chair. There's the bench.
Hello, fellow Round Lakers. I chose Moby Dick as my art for the Labyrinth, and I had just started reading Melville's Moby Dick. I actually, after all these years of reading his books, realized I've actually never read Moby Dick before. And to me, it seemed very appropriate because it's about a journey, Ahab's obsessive journey, but taking him to depths. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's kind of an individual choice. Although I would say beware of pursuing the white whale, because you never know where it's going to take you. And going into the labyrinth is almost kind of like that kind of journey. Sometimes you're not sure where it's going to take you. So that's what I have to say.
Right. So I think people maybe just start walking their own journey, okay. And find a place. Rachel, might you go next, because you also had a little sense of place with your rocks.
I hope I can find a sense of place over there.
And if you can, again, it will be fine if you don't.
Like, you want to take them
Yeah,
off?
yeah. If you want to say anything about.
Well, most of my idea was just speaking in opposites, like, even yin and yang, because you've got the black and the white, you've got the fleeting life of the moth, very short-lived, and hopefully the trees will last they last longer, and so the negative and positive spaces and the patterns, and so I just was thinking about all of these things and how it works in the world.
Thank you. Annika,
my rock is an octopus. I'm joining Moby Dick, I guess, in the nautical theme. And thank you so much for organizing this, Ellen. Thank you.
anyone next? Molly.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I've got my tiny rock, and it just says RL on it. And I've lived in Round Lake my whole life, 28 years. It's my favorite place. So, and my parents said I can't leave. I'm the last child, and I have to stay close to home. So here I am. And then I have this one, and it says Love Wins. And I just live by this. And there's lots of love in our community. And even through all the hard times, we have each other. So that's why I did this one.
Very nice. Thank you, Molly.
Yep.
You can walk that one. Peter.
Uh-oh. Well, I did a tree, and I did a tree because I feel grounded here. And so it makes me feel very grounded to be in Round Lake. Also, I used to do a lot of renderings, and they're very tight. The one thing that could loosen you up is to put a tree in a drawing, and it made me feel loose. Tree.
Dee, you ready to show your fish and take your walk?
I have nothing profound to say about my fish, except that I love to paint fish. I will say I've lived in Round Lake since 2013, and I absolutely love it here. And I also enjoy walking the Labyrinth. And speaking of Moby Dick, where'd she? Oh, there she is. If you've read Moby Dick, you should read Ahab's Wife, which obviously isn't written by Herman Melville, but it's really good. So, anyway, I love the Labyrinth.
Thank you, Dee. Becca, maybe you and the children? You guys have a few rocks, so you can put them.
No. I don't think there's much to say here. Not really. I kind of did a spiral, which reminds me of just how we're all connected in a way. The good and the bad, we're all intertwined. Yeah, I don't really have anything besides that. My kids just, painted rocks.
And we're glad to have them.
Yes, we love it here. Come all the time. Excellent. Are you going to carry yours or basket? Got the basket easy?
Who else do we? So some other people are going to. Oh, Linda's going to be back in a moment. Lori and Theo.
And our dogs.
I love the dog show.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I did a trillium, which is a wildflower that grows in the woods around here. We were just out walking Blue the other day, and he was sniffing around, and I walked over there and saw there were about 5 or 6 beautiful trilliums that were blooming. So it just reminds me of the woods around here and just the beautiful nature that we have around the village.
I did a rock with a portrait of 4 dogs in the village. I know there are a lot more that could have faces. These are the ones I had photos for. So Blue and Tinker and Bubba and Axel were village dog characters. And we love being part of the community here. Thanks, Ellen, for organizing.
And she also did one of Siggy, of her dog too. We must have lose it. Where do we go? Go out, we're gonna go. Let's go.
Here.
Now, please, I realize now that I will crisscross past me.
Good. Okay, we'll wait for Linda to come back. Let me maybe. So if anyone would like to, if I could do.